You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's This Is How I Made It After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's This Is How I Made It After Show.
My goodies, my goodies, not my goodies.
Biggest for doing, and we are doing another episode of MTV's This Is How I Made It. You're listening to Ciara, and in a little bit we're going to talk about Jenna Ushkowitz, and I think I pronounced it correctly. My name is Thomas, and this is my goodies. What's my goodies across from me?
Oh, you're rolling with Kendra K.
Nigel McGuinness, in it and win it.
We got people across the pond here and people from Montreal, Canada, as we all know well.
Yes, America's hat. You guys don't like that, I know. I'm gonna get the hate tweets now.
I love this song. You know, I am so glad they got Ciara on this show. I remember this song when it came out in 2004. Do you remember where you guys were when it came out?
I remember where I was. Yeah,
I remember going into like clubs. I'm not a big club person at all. In fact, I hate clubs. It's too noisy. It's too. And I always remember walking to a club, hearing this song, going, "Oh,
with your crew."
I wish I was somewhere else. I don't have a crew.
Oh, really? Oh, you don't have a crew? You heard
Have
that.
a crew cut, maybe.
Well,
You didn't walk in and just vibe to it like you were just now.
But people keep saying vibe to this and
Because
vibe to that.
no,
My mind goes in the gutter.
I was bugging you from a previous show.
that was a hard out, wasn't it?
Do you remember that?
What's that?
Oh, I don't remember.
But no, I was going to ask, like, did you ever listen to the lyrics of the song? I actually didn't pay a lot of attention, I must be honest, until we actually watched this today. And the lyrics, you know, Ciara mentioned, she's like, it's basically about, I'm not going to be that girl. I'm not going to go home with you. I have values. I mean, more or less talked about that.
Yeah.
And
she did say that, like, my goodies are like my love, giving you my love.
The cookies. In the
Like
cookie
that's
jar.
that's not true. She's not talking about love at all. She's about giving it up, right?
yeah, that's what she
Well,
said.
she
I'm not
was
going to give them up.
Being
Love and
PC. Yeah.
yeah.
okay.
She's like giving it up. You know, giving up the goodies for you is different than giving you my love. And they laced it with a really good beat, which shows, like, you know, a lot of times with songs, if you have a really good beat, people listen to it.
Absolutely. I mean,
And they
that's,
just gloss over the words. Right?
there's something to be said for that. You know, it happens for a long time, isn't it? Anything with a good beat, you know, like, is it always used to be the way though? Did songs always used to have meaning or not? I don't know. I mean, you know, back in the day, back in the early 1900s, were songs always meaningful, or did it just sound good?
I don't know.
Nat King Cole, when he did a lot of his songs, was that
In the 1900s.
meaningful stuff?
Early 1900s. Well, I was a twinkle in my parents were a twinkle in my grandparents' eye, and I was not even a twinkle, as they say. But she, you know, another reason I like Ciara, she was born in Austin, Texas, and she's a military brat. So she, you know, lived in Arizona, Nevada, but grew up mostly in Atlanta, Georgia. Graduated high school, but I wonder if it's also with her. She briefly touched on, you know, how her parents, you know, there was always music in the house, and they always encouraged her, you know, to kind of express herself. And she wasn't very fast at track. She mentioned that. And then she realized she could sing and dance, and she said, "This is it. You know, I'm going to go for it." I wonder if part of her story was being in Atlanta in the late 90s. And that was it's still a hot music bed, but back then, I mean, Atlanta, Houston were just blowing up with music, especially R&B and hip hop. And I wonder if that also helped her career, being in the right time, being in the right spot at the right time.
Well, probably. I mean, I think a lot of the stars we've seen so far have been influenced by, you know, music in the home. And I think that travels with people wherever they go. So her parents, you know, they brought her. She lived in Germany at one point, so she probably didn't have too much to do over there. So that, you know, she probably.
What kind of a statement is that?
Growing up, you know,
Germany, nothing to do in Germany, is there?
You know what I mean?
There's loads of stuff going on. It's very
Never mind.
huge culture. One of the most cultured countries in the world.
I'm saying growing up as a child, you're at home anywhere you are. You're at home.
Maybe.
And so you're influenced by what you're.
And the traveling, she was was always probably had to meet different people. It was probably, you have to move every 3 or 4 years. I mean, I would assume, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah,
we have a lot of military brats in Texas because there's a ton of bases, and so Shaquille O'Neal's actually a military brat too. Like he lived in San Antonio.
Shaquille, you said?
Briefly, I think his dad, or I don't know if his mom or dad was in the military, but he spent several years there, and which is interesting because whenever he'd play the Spurs, this is off topic, but when he'd play the Spurs, I think when he was with the Magic, they would boo him because even though he graduated high school there, everyone hated him because he was such a good player, and they didn't like him playing against the Spurs. But anyway, back to Ciara.
Here's something I noticed. I wanted to get your opinion on this. Like, so I've been watching this over the few seasons, all right? And there's been like girls and there's been guys who've had some success. And it just occurred to me, and correct me if I'm wrong here.
Go ahead.
But the girls who've been on who've had a lot of success came from sort of more upper class, well-to-do backgrounds and had a lot of support, whereas the guys who found success, they were the opposite for the most part, that had trouble backgrounds and whatever else, and they sort of had to battle against that to get their success. Do you think there's something in that? That like if a girl comes from a very difficult background, she's not going to be very successful, whereas like if a guy, he's more likely. Do you think there's anything to that, or is that just pure coincidence?
On the show? 'Cause
Yeah.
I think it's probably coincidence.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, because I mean, there are, I think, a number of examples of women who have had hard times, who have kind of risen to the top.
For
Who
example?
have grown up in, the so-called projects. And like Lil' Kim.
That's a fair
Who
point.
else can I,
Jenny from the block.
Don't be fooled by the rocks that she got.
She's
But
still Jenny.
Is
Is she still? I think so.
I don't know. That's another episode maybe, but we don't want to make Miss J-Lo mad. But so
Just asking.
but no, I don't know. I would say I've heard mixed opinions, but I've never met her, so I would hate to say that. But I've heard mixed opinions about her. But I think that's a really good analogy that you brought forward about that. And the more I thought about it, a lot of the guys have been portrayed as having to grow up on the rough streets of the city, the tough streets of Pittsburgh or of San Pedro in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
And the girls, that is a very good point. I wonder if it is coincidental because I'm trying to think off the top of my head, like, I mean, there has been a lot of women that have made it. Like, didn't Patsy Cline? Didn't she have a really rough life? And maybe Dolly Parton too.
Well, and the thing is, and roles play a role in that too. I think like the girls aren't necessarily out,
Sure.
slinging rocks and stuff.
Well, I guess that's the thing. The question is, if you grow up in a very different, lower class environment, is it as easy if you're a woman to be a success and get out of that environment as it is to be a man and get out of that environment? I don't know. I would say probably not, because I think, like you said, the roles of guys and girls, may be much more divisive at that sort of level. I don't know.
If I were to just like take a gander at it, I would say it's more difficult for a woman to rise out of poverty than it is for a man. Is what I would say.
Yeah.
I would say it can be. Yeah.
More difficult for a woman?
Sometimes it can be. Yeah. Like I would say, like if it's a really economically disadvantaged area, just because society a lot of times is geared to help. You know what I mean? Women have a lot of times women struggle more than men do to reach that. You know what I mean? There's whether it be pay or things like that.
But in entertainment. Let's say,
and entertainment is just luck, I think, to be honest with you.
Let's say you take 2 kids, like I don't know, in their teens, a girl and a boy. What do you think the difficulties would be in comparison?
I would say, like, that was like just a general reference. I would say in entertainment, it has to do with your talent and your look. And I think it just depends on what's popular at that time and how you play in that popularity. That's how I would look at it.
You've got to get to a stage where that's important, though. And I think, arguably, let's say you're a guy and you get someone girl pregnant, you can continue on and...
Well, a girl can't. I mean, she has
to... When a girl gets pregnant, then all of a sudden her life has to be put on hold. So even if you just look at that one thing about childbirth, then that would make things far more difficult for a girl than a guy.
Okay, and then you could look at it the other way. If a woman, it's easier for her to so-called sleep her way to the top, I think, than...
Ooh, that's a good point. Wow, that's a really good point.
So it's tit for tat.
But in this town, guys can sleep the way to the top, too. So.
But I'm just saying in terms of if we compare, young women, because young women are, what the men are looking for, the big execs. And stuff.
Well, and the goodies, that's what I like that, that song, like we had brought up, like, she had mentioned that, the song was to be like a kind of a role model. There we go again. Thanks, Marissa. It's kind of a role model for girls in a way to be like, stand up for yourself. Your love is, you don't have to show love by going to bed with somebody. And I think that's a very good point to the song when you actually listen to the lyrics. She had the next song we have is, what is it, 1 2 Step?
Classic. Well, current classic. our generation.
What do you guys think of this song?
I like this one too. All the beats emphasize, like, you know, and
This is with Missy Elliott, right?
Jazzy Faye, though, right? The producer.
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Sounds like I'm playing a video game system. Like, that's literally how it is.
But that's why it's appealing.
I mean, you know, it's just not my cup of tea, you know what I mean?
Hold on, Nigel. Can we skip one and go over to Like a Boy? And this is kind of good. We should have brought this up because when you brought this up, this is what Ciara talked about. You know the point you brought up, Nigel. You get the point.
Strings. The string section.
This is nice, yeah.
And she talks about the struggles of a girl. What do you guys?
We're not getting a lot of lyrics. No.
Take out the trash, in your cash like I'm fast, like a girl, you wanna act like it is.
Yeah, I don't know. Give me, I mean,
well, basically, she's saying like if she could live like a boy, her life would maybe be a little easier. Is what the gist of the song is, and it kind of touches on what you had said. But, you know, it is different, you know, for both sexes. So she kind of did address it actually.
Right.
Good, Ciara. And then we have the other song. What is it? Get Up. Is that the one? I don't know if we have that one. Did you ever hear this one?
Oh yeah. I just
I recognize this one.
You know this one?
Yeah.
When you rolled up with your posse?
in the
God.
in the club.
It's mobbed and you can't get to the bar and everybody's like stinking of perfume or aftershave and girls are like wasted going, hey, Goblin! So-and-so did this to so-and-so. And I'm like, I cannot wait to get out of here.
Were those people you knew?
No. Oh, yeah. But, you know, to each their own, whatever floats your boat, as long as they don't hurt anybody else.
Was Ciara big back home?
I think so. I mean, like I said, I you know, I'm kind of out of the music scene, so, but, you know. So what was it? Because she touched on her last album doing very, very poorly, correct? Basic Instinct.
Yeah, she said, like, you know, her first album she released, Goodies reached #1, but the album didn't do very well, and then the album after that didn't do as good, and it just kind of went down.
Yeah.
And she wasn't ready to give up, and she realized, she's like, hey, you know, I have to make this work. This is what I want to do. And she's kind of like a perfectionist, is what I would think.
It looks like it. Yeah.
She has very high standards for herself. And what I like too, just to touch on this real fast, was MTV showed a lot of her videos and her making the videos, like her music videos, which is a side of stars that, I mean, they show sometimes, but I don't know if they've showed 100% when they're doing this, you know?
I think because that was most recent, and she's kind of been quiet for a while.
She has.
And now, you know, I kind of saw her pop up on different reality shows, and she was friends with Kim Kardashian for a while. I don't know if she still is. And so, you know,
Kim's a little busy right now, though.
a little bit.
But you know what's interesting? What Ciara said, though, I thought she had one of the. I honestly think she had the best message so far out of any of the celebrities that have been featured on here. The two things that I liked that she said was tough moments define you, and then she says life is what you make it. Take control. She also mentioned embrace the scars because they make you stronger. And I really think that has a lot, like, I think those are really deep, like, just personal experiences, you know, things that you get through or survive through, you know, the next day you're stronger, you can move forward, and you learn from. And we touched on this at the very beginning. I kind of feel like she went on a little bit about, like, struggles, but maybe it got edited out of the show. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah. I did like that she had goals. She kind of shared her goals.
What were her goals? Do you remember?
The first was to be discovered. Check. She wanted to sell 3 to 4 million records.
She didn't do that, right?
She's still working on it. And
So am I.
she strives for longevity, which I think that's a good thing to strive for, especially in this day of, you know, the overnight celebrity or the one-hit wonder. So, and I think she's working on it. So I think she's gonna.
Isn't that funny? I remember, like, last time I was on here and we talked about what do people do this for? Do we do it for fame, or do we do it for money, or do we do it to be happy and find, you know, contentment in life? And she didn't have any of those as her ambitions. You know what I mean? I guess she assumed that by being discovered and selling 3 to 4 million songs and having a long career, she would be happy and she would feel content. But I don't know if they necessarily go hand in hand, do they?
Although she mentioned several times that, you know, this is what makes her happy. So I think whether it's a goal or not, that's her, you know, that's the umbrella she's kind of standing under.
One thing we didn't get was she never said how she made it. That is interesting. Every episode said, but no, when she said, sorry, not how she made it, but when she made it, when she felt that she.
But again, maybe I think we missed.
Maybe part of it wasn't in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was kind of, that was one thing that I felt, they usually touch on, like, this is the moment that I felt that I had, and you know, maybe because she sounded one of the most humble out of all of them so far, to be honest with you. Like, she was just very matter of fact about everything. You know, she briefly touched on her struggles, which I think some of it may have been edited out, but that's just my opinion. But she just seemed very well grounded. Like, she had a very good upbringing. Like, her parents cared about her, and she was very encouraging. It's what I felt like. Like, if you're you know, a young adult or even an adult watching this, she was the most realistic out of a lot of them in many ways. I mean, that's what I got from it. What did you guys?
I don't know if I would say that, actually, whether she was most realistic or whatever else. It might just be coming from a different culture or whatever else. But no, there were other people that I thought struck a more genuine sort of. There was a girl from Glee before as well, wasn't there?
Oh,
remember her?
Your friend.
Yeah,
Thomas, your friend. Yes.
Jenna Ushkowitz?
Amber Riley.
Amber Riley, yes.
Or not your friend, Jesse's friend.
Jesse's friend, yeah.
She seemed far more sort of real down to earth, and okay, I get that, you know. What would, like, so, you know, you mentioned like scars making you and stuff like that, and I've obviously had a few in my career, physically and emotionally. What would you say were some that really affected you?
I mean, just several. Just, you know, rejection, like not getting a job, I think is the biggest one. Like, in entertainment. Yeah, and I'll touch on that in a little bit later. But, you know, I share the same belief of when someone tells you no, like, and you really want it, I'm going to do it anyway. Like, that's just kind of, that's just my belief. Like, if I think I can do something, if I know I can do something, I'm going to do it. But before we get to that, be sure and go to iTunes, rate us, and comment 5 stars, please. Por favor. Please, please. It only takes a minute, but be sure and download us. You can also check us out on YouTube. We post the videos on YouTube, so you can watch Nigel and Kendra's lovely faces and my bearded face. But yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. But Jenna Ushkowitz, what's your thoughts on Miss Gleeker? She is actually originally from South Korea, from Seoul. She was born there, adopted by American parents at 3 months old, and raised in New York State. She's had several parts, but she played a part on Glee where she actually, what was it? She mentioned that I'm trying to find the notes right here. It takes me a second. But it mentioned that she had a lisp, and her character had actually faked a lisp. She played like Tina Cohen Chang. And unfortunately, we weren't able to watch that part of the episode on This Is How I Made It. So we did some of our own research. But Marissa's actually a Gleeker, Marissa in the booth. What can you tell us about that role?
Well, Jenna, her character, she faked a lisp because I guess she was very insecure, and she figured if people knew that she had a lisp, people wouldn't talk to her character. So that was a way of avoiding people and avoiding embarrassment from her peers.
How'd that work out?
It worked out well until she joined Glee and became more comfortable around, and she was making friends, and then she slowly came out with the fact that she didn't have a lisp.
And then what happened? Sorry, I guess I should watch the show. But
no, I mean, was it relatable to you as a viewer, Marissa? Like, in any way, did it make you think back at high school or anything?
I definitely related to it because a lot of, you know, you're teenagers, there's a lot of insecurities and a lot of teen angst, and if that's a way that you want to avoid embarrassment or judgment from, like, anyone, maybe that was her way of how she did it. But I feel like a lot of teenagers, there are different ways that they can avoid situations like that.
That seems to me as though that would be the opposite, wouldn't it? Like, people tease you for having a lisp.
Maybe, but maybe it's like a different take on it too, because sometimes people will like act out in a way, you know, like some people get OCD or different things because it's their way of acting out in stressful environments, or like eating disorders. It's like a control thing, and maybe that was her character's way of like controlling, like that element of control. And then, you know, she may not have controlled the environment around her and the friends, but it was her normalcy in her life. Do you follow that in a way?
Not in the slightest.
I get that.
You get it? You get what I mean, right?
Yes.
But, you know, we have the 10 things? Can you cue that up, Marissa? The 10 things you didn't know about Jenna Ushkowitz? And I think it's at number 8.
I have a 6'5" cardboard cutout of myself in my home on Long Island. I swear I was a dolphin in a past life. All of the Glee kids, like Amber, Chris, and Kevin, they call me Panda. I don't know where that came from, but I could eat sushi every single day of my life and be a happy, happy woman. I drink a lot of coffee. I hate feet. I don't like feet at all. I have have a very large fear of spiders. I can't do a pen with a cap without the cap on the back of it. I can cry like a baby. That's really weird. Everything in my closet is color organized. I probably shouldn't have shared that one either. Those are 10 things you did not know about me.
10 things you didn't know about Jenna Ushkowitz and maybe you wish you didn't know. What was the weirdest one you guys thought out of that?
Yeah, a lot more I don't know about. No, sorry. The baby thing was kind of funny.
Oh, the crying like a baby?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
That was her thing.
I just don't know how many of those she's serious about. Did she really believe she was a dolphin in her last life?
I think the feet. I believe the feet.
Yeah.
The pen cap thing was a little weird.
Neurotic. You'd mentioned earlier that she's neurotic.
Maybe neurotic.
Or maybe neurotic, sorry. Didn't mean to quote.
To paraphrase what Kendra said in private. No.
Yeah, I mean... And the panda thing you'd mentioned too, that was kind of, very interesting that people... Yeah, I didn't know...
Inappropriate?
I thought it was kind of inappropriate. What did you think? You're across the pond, would you?
I didn't, but I could see why a lot of people, certainly in America, where race is a real hot button topic, that people could be offended by that. I mean, clearly because pandas are Chinese, right?
Korean.
No, it's Chinese. Pandas are Chinese.
Korean.
And she's Korean, yeah.
Right. But
So
that was why I think it would be considered offensive, because it's like
That's
saying that anybody who's...
It's like, well, don't get me started.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm half Polish, and I can think of tons of and you guys can think of tons of Polish things too. So.
I get tons of Polish things.
Tons of Polish jokes.
Polish isn't a race, though, is it? It's
No, but it was one of those that came over that just, Irish and Polish got all.
It's funny actually. One of my friends that I gave a credit to in the documentary, his last name ends K. I thought it was K-I.
Is it a Y?
And it is a Y.
Then he's probably Lithuanian.
Maybe, but I put I in the credits, and he was like really quite upset about it. I think
he's probably Lithuanian
because he was like, I'm not from Poland, and I don't have any Polish heritage, and I guess because it's over here, that's bad, right? Is it? I don't.
I was never raised because my whole anyway. Short story is my whole family's Polish on my mom's side, and we grew up in South Texas, and so I've never heard anything bad about it until I met people from Chicago, which is like the capital outside of Poland for Polish people.
Right.
And so then I started hearing Polish jokes. But no, I laugh because I'm like, I am who I am. You can have your opinion, but I think a lot of them are funny. But, speaking of your documentary, though, go ahead.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, did you get to change it in the credits, or it was too late?
I have changed it now. I'm working on another edit at the moment, actually. So at the moment, it runs about 2 hours, and it's out there for wrestling fans. It's in a wrestling-friendly format at the moment, which means it has some wrestling in it. You know what I mean? If you're not a wrestling fan, you don't really want to watch wrestling that much. You know what I mean? So I'm sort of trimming out some of that and trying to sort of streamline it as well. I just went to the movies this afternoon, actually, and I watched that Silver Linings Playbook. Have you seen that movie yet?
No, how is it?
I saw it.
What did you think?
I enjoyed it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's 2 hours of my life I will never get back.
Oh, was that bad?
Yeah, I wanted to leave 2 or 3 times. I was like, I just don't care. I don't care what's going to happen at the end of this. I really don't. You know what I mean? I'm not invested in these characters at all. Like,
I've never walked out of a film.
No, I never have either, and I watched Vanilla Sky, so that says something.
I had a friend pass out in a film, actually. Like 2 people passed out in the theater. There was some kind of gas leak or something.
But getting back to the documentary, the reason I brought up that movie was because I wanted to walk out like 2 or 3 times. It was just a little bit over 2 hours, So I'm very aware, very, very conscious that like people don't want to watch a lot of a movie, especially if they don't have a specific interest in the subject matter. You know what I mean?
Well, it seems now a lot of movies are going longer. Remember, for a while they were going shorter, and now, so I mean, maybe that'll help serve your project in a way.
I don't know. Like I said, I think my project is very different than the average movie because I have no one behind it whatsoever. The only thing I have is whether this movie is good, whether it talks to people, whether it will cross over. That's what I'm hoping it will do. So I'm sort of trying to trim it down to about 90 minutes, 100 minutes. If you are a wrestling fan, or even if you're not, it's still a great story as it stands at the moment. I'd like you guys to watch it, actually. Yeah. Maybe I'll bring you a DVD next week or something. But if you go to nigelwrestling.com, I'm selling a few off of there. The few remaining DVDs that I have.
How much does it run for?
$25 plus shipping.
And yet PayPal, or how do they?
Yeah, PayPal. It links straight to the PayPal. So, you know, it's just, I mean, I've had a lot of really good feedback so far, and not just from, you know, a lot of people have said, you know what, I'm a wrestling fan, that's why I bought this, but my wife or my girlfriend, or even my boyfriend, was like watching this sort of in the background, and then they sat down and they were like, wow, that really touched me, because I didn't expect it to. And I think it's because there's these universal themes in life that are about, you know, having ambitions and pursuing those ambitions and not quite making it as far as you wanted to do, and coming to terms with that, you know. So.
Is it kind of wrestling outside of the ring or in back of the ring in a way, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it just follows me throughout my retirement tour, you know, and so here I am, I've wrestled in front of, like, you know, 20,000 people in Tokyo, Japan. I've wrestled Kurt Angle, and I've been in the same ring as Hulk Hogan, and all these different people, and here I am now wrestling, you know, somebody in Clarksburg, West Virginia, in front of sort of, you know, 150 fans, and it's sort of, you know, very... I don't know, a difficult end to my career, you know. So that's a lot with everybody, I think, in any form of entertainment or any form of life, you know, where you get to a stage in your life and you look back and you go, oh, God, I used to be here and now I'm here. And, you know, and I think even Ciara, when she was talking about how this new album that she's bringing out, you know, hopefully it does well, because if it doesn't, then it's just more on the downward trajectory.
And it curves her back up. Is there, you know, we were talking about struggles, like you had mentioned that earlier at the beginning of the podcast. You know, what's a struggle that you had to go through, Kendra? Like just something maybe when you moved to LA, or something that you can relate to?
Oh my gosh. There have been little snippets of them. I think maybe moving out here for me was kind of, that part was easy, I think. It was just kind of something that made me come out here. So I guess struggle was just, finding the job and kind of keeping that and finding a place, like kind of just in unknown territory.
You never had your heart broken?
Oh my goodness, that's like,
well,
that's a sidebar in the.
Well, I'm interested to know.
well, let me answer real fast too. Like,
it's a no. It's a definite.
I think it's a no. No, she's from Montreal. She breaks hearts. No,
we don't have our hearts broken.
You know, I would say my struggle has been working freelance. You know, which all the artists that we've covered on here, you know, Ciara and all the others, they have had to work freelance, and when the money's good, it's good, and sometimes you have to take projects. It's a balance in many ways. Like you sometimes sign up for a project that you're overqualified for because you have to pay the bills. And to me, that's the biggest struggle I've had to do, because you have to swallow your pride a lot of times, especially in this industry. And then because at the end of the day, you have a job and you're networking and you're moving forward, not moving backward. And that's, you have to look, Eric Chavaria, I think had mentioned that, you have to look at the big picture always. Even when there's those snippets, they make you stronger, you know. And he had brought up last week, you know, he always, like if he feels like he's getting bored or restless, he'll start taking improv classes to always improve himself. And I feel like that is that's really valuable advice. And that, I mean, that's one thing that I've had to do, is just kind of like accept, okay, it's going to be really good while this job lasts, and then when that's it, you have to find your next gig, you know. And
do you feel that scarred you though? You feel like, you know?
No, I wouldn't say scarred me. I would say definitely made me stronger, because at the end of the day, you know what you're good at, and you have to embrace your talents and try to pick up the slack in other things that you need to work on. So it's definitely made me stronger.
Yeah, I probably repressed it, but being laid off is a big one. Especially the economy, I guess, was a big struggle.
What were you laid off from?
My day job, like,
which was
several years ago. Photo licensing.
What's that? I'm intrigued. I don't know what it means.
Well, that's where you do. That's basically where you release content.
Well, we represent photographers, and we license their photos to.
Okay.
You know, TV,
yeah. Right.
Newspapers, magazines.
But that wasn't what you wanted to do, right? That wasn't your.
But that was
But it was paying the bills, and therefore, okay, yeah.
I mean.
No, I've lost. You know, when I got fired from TNA, which was the main company I was working for. You know, I had no money to show for it because I hadn't been used for like nearly 6 months by that time. So I had no money in the bank, and all I've done for my entire life is try and be a professional wrestler. So I've got no job experience. You know what I mean? And there's only like 2 companies that pay money, and if one of them's fired and the other one isn't interested, then you're kind of screwed. You know what I mean? And there I was, 35 years old, and I mean, that certainly upset me, but I certainly see now that I wouldn't be where I was today if none of that had happened.
Quick question. Who do you guys think will be on next week?
David Bowie.
David Bowie, who do you think?
Oh, gosh.
Take a gander.
I'd love David Bowie. Yeah. Russell Brand. I'd like to see Russell Brand on there.
It'd be cool to see Taylor Lautner or somebody who was who someone in the past has referred to. You remember when Tyler was on and they kind of to see his side of the story.
Madonna or Beyonce, and we'd mentioned before that Beyonce and Ciara, little similarities.
Yeah, in appearance. I think a lot of female artists are influenced by Beyonce.
How long do these shows go on? How long is this in the series? You know,
possibly February 10th.
Probably through December. No.
Yeah. Next December, so we'll be here a while.
No, but what were we talking about?
Beyonce, they had similarities. Well, they're both from the South, you know, and you'd mentioned like the look, you know, the hair.
Yeah, she looked like her in that new video, especially. Yeah, so I forget. I know we were talking about.
We were talking about people we'd like to see on next week.
No, I mean before.
No, before we were talking about that. I think just the dancing and stuff like that, just a few things. Like there's just a lot of similarities, and I think, but you know, like anything, like if a product works, you're gonna have a similar product.
Yeah.
You know, an artist, if something works.
If
and
I
Ciara's,
were a boy.
Yeah, Beyonce had that similar song.
Yeah.
And they compared Ciara's song, what was it? The first song that we played. They compared it to Usher's, one of Usher's songs. I've read that.
My Goodies?
Yeah, My Goodies is one of Usher's songs, just kind of like the innuendos and stuff like that.
It's funny because that movie, Think Like a Man. I know Nigel has probably seen it.
Think Like a Man? No?
Act Like a Woman or Act Like a Lady.
What movie is that?
Steve Harvey had a movie.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I don't watch Steve Harvey movies.
He wrote a book, Think Like a Man, Act Like a Woman, something like that.
Was he? He was a talk show host, was he?
He is.
He used to be on 100.3 The Beat, too.
Yeah, but now he has a TV talk show.
Good for him.
But he relates sex to the cookie, so it's like an ongoing theme.
Euphemism.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you guys want to share before we wrap up?
No,
just more on this, like I said, NigelWrestling.com. Go and check it out. There's a documentary there, or just follow me online at McGuinness Nigel, and keep supporting.
All right, you can reach me at Thomas Guide, TOMASGUIDE. I can't even spell right now. You can twidazzle them. Where can they find you at?
I'm at Kendra Kabasele.
And Nigel?
At McGuinness Nigel, again.
Work it out. All right, until next time. Thanks, guys. And ladies.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
Thank you.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.